IGH going rogue. Today is Friday, November the 15th, and we are accompanied by a good friend of mine. I like to give him shit because I've known him for a long fucking time. I usually called him the resident rhino, but I guess that's not fair. He's not a rhino, but he is the epitome of a establishment Republican, my good friend Jorge Rizurieta. Buddy, thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. We've been talking politics for fucking what, like 40 years at least, right? Probably more. Probably more.
Close.
You know, so we've been talking about this Hispanic surge for a long fucking time, right? You're a good friend. You're great friends with the family, with the Bush family. President Bush, 43, 44% of the vote, of the Hispanic vote in 2004. Also won the popular vote, right? Since then, it went to fucking hell. McCain, Mr. Amnesty and all that crap, 31%. No backbone Mitt, 27%. And then we have the racist, the xenophobe, the, anti-gay, anti-women, anti-fucking everybody. Unless you're Anglo-Saxon, white, Protestant, right?
Chauvinist.
Yeah, chauvinist, everything, right?
God knows.
He ends up improving on Romney. He ends up improving on McCain. And now he ends up improving on President Bush with 46% of the Hispanic vote, blows away the popular vote, which hasn't happened since President Bush. What a coincidence, 20 years for both numbers, that a Republican president gets that high of a number for Hispanics, wins the popular vote, but Trump just crushed it, man. Trump just crushed it.
Well, sure did. And, this will be a case study that will be over-analyzed, over-studied.
Like all of them, right?
They all are.
Yeah.
But really an interesting one because the one person you would generalize to be, the anti-Hispanic.
Yeah. Well, the way they portrayed him, right?
Not just because of, the positions maybe he's taken, especially the immigration position.
Yeah.
But because of the way he's been portrayed, like you're saying. And then he not only ends up breaking the record of any other Republican nominee, Republican president. In this case, it was a Republican sitting president, or sitting vice president, when he ran for president. In case of, talking about George W., not H.W.
Yeah.
So George W.
Yeah. 43.
43, correct. But bring that just to the local level, and he ends up winning Miami-Dade County by 10 points.
Yeah.
Last one to do that in Miami-Dade County, which is a strong Democrat county, was President H.W., who won it.
That was 92, right?
It was 92.
Yep.
So, everything you would generalize to be literally impossible,
Yeah.
he's defied logic and has made it happen. So I think at the end of the day, what this tells you is two things. One is Hispanics care about the same exact issues that the rest of the population cares about.
Yeah.
Period.
Our friend Rick Sanchez was on this week. And,
Oh yeah, that must have been fun.
It was a lot of fun. You should have seen. You got to watch it. But he said the same thing. He's like, you're gonna dice this. They're gonna cut it up. They're gonna have 1 million stats and data and numbers and all this and that. But at the end, exactly what you said. Hispanics care about the same thing.
They care about the same things that the rest of the world cares about. And as far as the personality and the person, I don't even know that's worth commenting on that because it's the same difference as to why the rest of the country you voted for him the way they did.
Yep.
By the way, speaking of your favorite term, what's that term again you love?
Which one? The resident rhino.
Rhinos.
Yeah.
I think just about every so-called rhino.
Establishments. The establishments. I don't think it's fair to call them rhinos because they are Republican. They're just establishment. They have different priorities.
Well,
Right?
and quite frankly, you look at the numbers that turned out for President Trump. He got every single one of those votes. There's no way for him to get the numbers he got across the country, swing states.
Mr. Producer, what were Trump's final numbers, by the way? 75? Look it up. Just holler at it when you get it. But he got, I think it's 75 or 76 million.
76.
76. this time around, but he got 74.2 in 2020. So he did jump about 2 million votes.
So I'm willing to guess that just about every Republican that may not have wanted to vote for him at some point for whatever reason ended up not voting for Kamala Harris, that's for sure. So they clearly
Except
voted.
Bill Kristol, right? Bill Kristol. Except Bill Kristol.
So he really received an overwhelming amount of Republican support. Whether they were excited about his candidacy or not, they surely were not excited about supporting Kamala Harris.
There's no way.
Nonetheless, having her serve as the leader of the free world, God forbid. So I think at the end of the day, history was made in a number of different ways in this election, but specifically with regards to Hispanics. And I think that's going to be critical for the midterm election because it's, as you know, it's always a difficult race for any sitting president to have right after an election, the midterm. And I think the Hispanic improvement in that area, because I think there's still room for improvement.
Yeah, a lot.
Could be the insurance policy.
Yeah.
That this president.
Like Peter Strzok.
Yeah.
Like Peter Strzok's insurance policy.
Exactly. That this president might have. And it's really an insurance policy that's realistic. It's not impossible to do. It's very doable.
Well, I think the shift is real because we saw it, right? We saw it in 2016, it moved. And then we saw it in 2020, it moved. Then we saw it in 2022, right? In the midterm, it moved up to like 40. And now it moved 6 points.
And what it actually absolutely cemented, I hope, for those who are awake or half awake, is that immigration is not an issue of concern.
Well, that's your buddy Jorge Ramos, man.
Hispanic.
I would tell him, but he blocked me, back in 2011, 2012 when I was with Newt. But I would love to hear his opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear his analysis. What does he have to say?
That Hispanics are racist and they're misogynists. That's what they're saying.
They were confused. They really didn't know what they were doing.
No, that's what they said. Al Sharpton said that the other day. That they're with Morning Joke. They both said Hispanics are racist and they're misogynists.
It's incredible. That's so offensive that actually a black man, a minority, would actually say that about his own people is just incredible.
Well, he said Hispanics were racist.
Well, what's really been proven to be ineffective and out of business is his business model.
Yeah.
His business model, because the way they make a living and the way they make their money, which is by trying to milk.
Well, that's what they were saying. That
their people.
That they're that the influx of white Hispanics was the difference. Because brown Hispanics voted for Kamala. So that represents, the white Hispanics. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, it is pathetic. Their arguments are weak. They're dead. They're old. Whatever. It is what it is. But I think it's really important now, especially, this administration and the party in good hands now, I think, to continue this, to improve on Hispanics because, the Democrats are going to come out in full force in the midterms in 2 years. And they're going to try and take away the majority in the House and the Senate, and the only way to hold is she's got to hold this coalition, and increase on it. So I think the first 2 years are going to be critical, and let's see. I mean, we did Americano, but since Americano, there's been nothing there. No other effort has been out there, and we know that's coming back, soon.
Amen.
And some big news coming soon, which I think is going to help cement that. So there's a lot of work to do. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. I know you are as well. And, what about the rest, the cabinet? DeSantis ran on Let's Make America Florida. President Trump is choosing a lot of Floridians.
I think he's implementing that plan.
Yeah, he's implementing that plan, isn't he?
I think the choices have all been rock solid. For the most part, I'm not a fan of a couple. You can probably guess which ones those are. If you want to talk about those, I'm more than free to do so. But
hey, man, this is truth bombs, F bombs, no bullshit. So let's fucking go, man. Don't hold back.
Obviously, as you can imagine, the one I'm most proud of, and I think it's a solid, is Senator Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. I think that's
solid.
A very smart nomination for a lot of different reasons. None of which the least is his qualifications for it.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. So back when President Trump was president, during the pandemic, remember DPA, right? Defense Production Act, right? So we did a couple things, with that. Obviously, mobilized things here for PPE, et cetera. But through DPA, he also allocated a lot of money, and he put Mauricio as president of the Inter-American Development Bank, right? And there's going to be significant amount of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, to try and persuade American companies to leave China and come to Western Hemisphere. I think with Marco as Secretary of State, that's going to be even a bigger push. Yeah. Because both of them are very hawkish on China. They both don't like China, right? Yeah. So,
with good reason. I think that the value add that Senator Rubio brings to this job is significant. Obviously, his foreign policy knowledge is been well documented. His ability to speak Spanish doesn't hurt, making him the first Secretary of State of Hispanic origin.
Yeah.
Of course, that's just one hemisphere of the world, but an important hemisphere that unfortunately too often gets forgotten or ignored or not attended to the way it should.
Well, Latin America has always been the redheaded stepchild, right?
Our backyard. It's going to carry a lot of benefit, and it's not just because of his hawkish position on free nations and on freedom and on their strong opposition to dictators and tyrants, but also because of that. So, and it's not just related to Cuba. Obviously, it's Cuba, it's Nicaragua, it's Venezuela.
China's influence throughout Latin America is huge. I mean,
exactly.
Panama Canal. I mean, look at all the ports they've built in Latin America, et cetera.
So I think that there's a lot of issues in the world to deal with today. A lot, sadly so. Although I think a good chunk of them have started to correct themselves just with the notice of
just to win
a new sheriff being elected.
Yeah.
Hasn't sworn in yet, and the messaging from all over the world, whether it's Middle East Hamas or whether it's Ukraine and Russia, is really interesting. Yeah. It kind of proves the point as to what happened during his 4 years and what should be expected during these next 4 years. But I think Senator Rubio is going to be a great asset in that regard to help with the leadership across the world, and that's one of a number of significant appointments.
Just looking at China, right? So the influence that China has in Latin America is tremendous. They've dumped mega dollars in there. They have massive projects all over the place. If we want to put a halt to China's invasion of Latin America, we got to go move some shit down there. And I think Marco understands that, understands China, understands Latin America. Like I said earlier, Latin America has always been treated as a redheaded stepchild, right? We both worked for big companies. When I was working at AT&T and I had, Canada, Caribbean, Latin America, I remember my friends in Peru going, dude, why don't you guys open, something big down here? And I said, because Peru's smaller than Florida. It's just an irrelevant market. And that's the way we've always looked at Latin America. These markets are so small, so we just focus on Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, right? And then Colombia, and then, whatever happens afterwards. But, at the time, AT&T was $158 billion in revenue. It was like 3 times or 4 times the size of Peru's GDP. Just the absurdity of the numbers make it not attractive, right? CEOs and investment bankers and all that will tell you, it takes the same amount of effort to manage a $20 million investment as a $200 million investment, and your ROI is a lot better with $200 million, right? So I think that's going to be the big challenge. But I think if Trump goes back to that initiative of trying to incentivize American companies to move manufacturing away from China into Latin America, I think it accomplishes a couple of things. One of them, it weakens China big time. And second of all, it fortifies our natural ally, our backyard, which is Latin America. Look at Mexico right now, their economy is huge, and CAFTA, Dominican Republic. I hate to say this, but it was a shithole before CAFTA. Look right now, it's the 4th or 5th largest economy in Latin America. This little island. Yeah. So things do happen and do work. And the way and the reason why that was important is because obviously if there's jobs down there and the economy's booming and they have money, it's going to slow down or stop immigration. You know.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if we really want to accomplish the goals of taking the stronghold that China has on manufacturing what America buys, because we are the greatest culprits of wanting to buy,
Cheap shit.
good-looking, inexpensive stuff, right? And we're the biggest market in the world. So, we have to return to giving some of these nations, some of these economies, the opportunity to manufacture some of these goods. We've always said this, and there's been ebbs and flows where there's been more attention, but the last 20 years, while China has been buying, in essence, buying these nations, we've been absent, and I think that's
distracted because of the Middle East, right? I mean, there were so many problems in the Middle East. We were bogged down with 2 wars, and it was just a shit show over there. I think Trump was able to really cool things down in the Middle East. I think the Abraham Accord was a success. Obviously, peace through strength works, like Reagan. Trump did that effectively. And like you said, everybody has almost started to backpedal as soon as, the elections, the results are out, right? They're like, holy shit, this guy's back, right? So I suspect a lot of things are going to correct. You see Hamas and saying that they're looking for peace, and I would imagine the hostages are going to show up pretty soon. Maybe even on Inauguration Day, kind of like a Jimmy Carter Reagan situation. But I think Marco's the right guy. I think Marco's the right guy. He's going to bring a lot of value. Understands the world, not just Latin America. Understands the world. So I'm looking forward to that one. What about Matt Gaetz?
I'm not a huge fan of that nomination, quite frankly, because let's assume that he does get nominated. I'm sorry, that he does get confirmed. The amount of political stock that is going to go into that confirmation I'm not sure it's worth the headache. Now, there's been all sorts of analyses on what really is the goal of that nomination. I'm not here to speculate. I have no idea. I assume if the president nominated him, it's because he really believes that that's who belongs in that job. I just think that it's if it were to happen, it's going to require a lot of investment of effort, time, and political stock.
Well, it's going to be a circus.
Because
right?
it places it really places a number of senators in a difficult position what you get out of it. In other words, I don't know that the value of the congressman being the AG is adds that much value to go through that process to get it done. Now, I'm not president. President Trump is, and I trust that what he's doing makes a whole lot of sense to his game plan, which is not just one nomination. It's a bigger game, right?
Well, you got to look at
negotiation going on of some sort because the leadership of the Senate is not necessarily a Trump Senate, if you will.
Yeah.
There's some establishment.
Cocaine Mitch.
Realities going on there. The new Senate president, Senate leader, Republican leader, is more of an establishment senator than he is a Trump senator, if you will. So I don't know. I don't know where it all ends up. I have to tell you.
Well, you got to look at the reason.
I was very surprised by it. I never would have thought that would be his nominee.
I would have never. I never
what
thought
really
that one
sealed
either.
it for
I
me.
thought it was going to be Pam, right? That's what I thought. I thought it was going to be Pam. I really did.
And that would have been a great nomination.
Yeah.
I just his resignation from Congress seconds after he gets nominated, to me, is evidence that there's a greater game at play here.
Well, they were going to release the ethics report today.
Okay.
So by him resigning, that report goes in the trash. It never gets released to anybody. So so that's that. But I mean, when you look at the reasoning behind him. Look, he picked Sessions. Sessions recused himself. His own DOJ went after him over fake, fabricated bullshit, which was the Russian hoax. The only person really that was out there hammering the crap out of DOJ and everybody else was Matt Gaetz. You can say Jordan too, but really Matt Gaetz led that fight. That resistance that he defended Trump.
Yeah, he does,
to the end.
He does deserve that credit, and he owns that space.
And I think and Matt Gaetz called out all the bullshit, all the corruption, all the collusion, everything that was going on, and he ended up being right. So I think that's probably why he's looking at him is, what better guy that gets it, understands how corrupt the DOJ is, to go in there and fucking ransack the place and fucking clean house. And that's probably what you need to do is really clean it out. Same at the FBI. I mean, there's a lot of, noise and buzz about Kash Patel going over there. He clearly knows what needs to happen over there. You need to get rid of, a lot of the top people. Same thing with Pete, right? Hegseth, right? Over at the Pentagon. So he's clearly picking people that he trusts, that have publicly not shied away from him ever, that have defended him, and that have pretty much echoed the same things he says, right? Is that there's corruption, there's a deep state, it needs to be fucking killed, it needs to be freaking cleaned out, and, he believes these guys are going to do it. But to the confirmation, I agree with you. I think that's I don't know how he gets it done. Because if you look at the numbers, we're going to be at 53 seats. Collins is not going to vote for him. Murkowski isn't. No Backbone Mitt is definitely going to vote against him. And Cocaine Mitch, there's 4. So how do you get 50, right? Because 50 in the vice president.
So some would argue that Gaetz is well. First of all, Gaetz could not buy the publicity he's had in the last 48 hours, right?
No.
So is it good, bad publicity? Well, it's publicity, right? Everybody knows that he's been eyeing the governor's seat in the state.
Yep.
And let's just say hypothetically he doesn't get the confirmation. He goes through this whole process, which gives him an enormous amount of visibility.
Yep. Massive exposure.
A massive exposure, and he ends up being a candidate for governor. Well, what did he lose? I don't know. And
it could be a horse trade, right?
Back to your point, the actual report, meanwhile, has never been released. So, some would say that admits culpability. You can interpret it whichever way you'd like, but the issue is that the report won't be read. And if it's not read, it's all allegation.
Right.
So some would call this masterful. Let's see where it ends up.
Well, there's a lot of buzz about the horse trade.
Right.
Right, and you just kind of brush through it, right? That they're putting him up there. It's all kind of a ploy, because he really wants to be governor, right? And he's going to be running for governor. Some people are saying he was talking about running for governor up until last week. So what happened, right? And could that be a play? Do you think a horse trade? They put him up there to cause all this ruckus and holy shit moment and everything. Get a lot of visibility, get a lot of exposure, get a lot of shit, make a lot of noise. Right. And then the establishment says, hey, you know what? We're not going to confirm him, man. We want somebody else. We want somebody else in horse trade. And say, okay, that's fine. He really didn't want to be attorney general anyways. He wants to be governor. So, that's fine. We'll do a trade. And he gets his number 2, which is really his number 1.
Could be. I would not put it past the process.
Yeah.
When I put it past President Trump, I'd be foolish to say that. So I think it's all possible. And, you mentioned Pete Hegseth from Fox. On that nomination, he also is not what any of the, folks who are part of this world, live in this world, would have ever thought would be, because he doesn't fit the mold. Is he a veteran? He's actually a decorated veteran.
Yeah.
He's an Ivy Leaguer.
Yeah.
So he's no
double, right?
Princeton he's no moron. He's no fool. He's a smart individual, proven individual. Obviously, he's younger than most who are ever considered to be possible secretaries of a mammoth department like defense. Has no government experience. That's been highly criticized. but maybe what he doesn't have that is probably more criticized is that he's never ran anything nearly of that size or of any size because he's been a journalist. Not your typical nominee, but it's not because he's not qualified. It's because he doesn't meet the mold of what normally has been the case. Now, if anybody thinks that Donald Trump is going to nominate what meets the mold of anything historically, they're just approaching this the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because
That's not how he thinks.
he's going to do exactly the opposite of that. So, yeah, but most of the other ones, are all understandable. These two are, well, that's your opinion. He's got
Governor Nome and Homeland Security. I guess,
She was on a committee.
Yeah.
I think she was a fighter pilot,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But what real intelligence experience does she have other than being on the committee as a member of Congress?
No, you're talking about Tulsi.
Yeah, I'm talking about Tulsi.
Yeah, Tulsi at the NI, yeah, look, she was a lieutenant colonel.
That's right.
She's a badass. I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, fight, shoots. I mean, dude, she fucking.
Wouldn't mess with her, right?
She's a badass. But she was on the Intel Committee. She was on the Foreign Affairs Committee. I think she's proven, that she's not a war hawk. She's not looking for war. She's not looking for combat. She's not looking to get, our country involved in shit. So, let's see, right? Let's see. I mean, I would have loved to see Rick Grinnell back. I thought he did a great job. Who knows where they bring him back now? I don't know. CIA, CIA director, Ratcliffe, that makes sense. He was in the House Intel Committee, right? I think most of them are pretty solid.
I agree.
I think the wild card there is Gates and and maybe Hegseth, right? But both of those guys are guys that are going to break it up. If you listen to Pete's interview, I mean, he was on Sean Ryan's show, I think last week, talking exactly this: what needs to happen at the Pentagon, what needs to happen at DoD is you need to take out fucking generals and colonels. Everybody was involved with this DEI crap, and fucking get rid of them, send them to fucking hell, and fucking clean the Pentagon up. I mean, the amount of money they've been spending on DEI training and fucking trans shit and paying for fucking sex change operations, it's just fucking ridiculous. These are fucking people that need to be tough as nails. You need to go out there and fucking face fucking rounds, knives, fucking be shot at, risk fucking dying every time they fucking wake up. And you're pushing this inclusion, equity crap to soften them up. I mean, dude, there's something fucked up in that.
It's totally counterintuitive, too.
It's totally fucked up. But, look, the argument is this. If the Senate Republicans unanimously approved Garland and they approved the trans person, for HHS, how the fuck do they not approve fucking Matt Gaetz? And that's also the strategy. Trump is going to make them fucking go public and eat that shit. So, dude, I mean, look, maybe you're right. There's a lot of political capital, but, both sides would have to spend a lot. I think the establishment would have to go eat a lot of shit if they're going to fucking say no. So I don't know if they want that fight either.
As a nation, we have regressed so significantly to a level where our basic morals and standards have really been on a good day put in question, on a bad day absolutely thrown out the window, and that has got to return. Not to mention specifically in areas of defense or military, not because it's not a place for women, but it's not a place for topics of conversation that have nothing to do with what you got to have. Because there's some women I'd much rather, not deal with a lot of guys. In other words, so there's a lot of tougher women than a lot of guys. That's not the point. The point is,
well, dude, they're soy boys, man.
Right.
I mean, they fucking grew up. Who fucking knows? Dude? We were
point-
talking about that with our buddy Jimbo, special forces guy, and he's like, dude, these fucking people that are growing up now, they're fucking soft. They're just fucking soft. When we grew up, dude, everybody got fucking in fights. Everybody got fucking punched in the face at least a couple times in their fucking life, right? Yeah, dude, it's part of growing up. Now, dude, nobody touches anybody. Nobody's ever been hit. They're all keyboard fucking warriors. They're all tough guys behind the fucking computer screen, you know? And, you know, you see them in person, they fucking cower. They would never fucking dare fucking come at you directly, you know, because you'd fucking beat the living fuck out of them, right? And these people are fucking wimps. They're fucking pussies, right? Because, you know, first of all, they would never come after you, you know, because somebody like us, we would fucking respond, you know? But it's just fucked up, dude. It's fucked up. That's why you see, you know, what's the generation that really pushed Trump over was Generation X. You know, Gen X voted for Trump huge, by the biggest spread of any other generation. You know, we came back to save it because we're like, dude, what the fuck is going on, dude? What are you all fucking, you know, weird? You know, what happened to fucking being tough? What happened to guys being guys? You know, it's this feminization of men, you know, that really have created all this bullshit. I mean, it started with Obama. I mean, just watching Obama fucking bowl with his limp wrist was, you know, fucking, hey, what the hell is this? You know? And, you know, and fuck kidding around, but it started to soften men up, right? And they started with this bullshit of toxic masculinity, you know, that being a guy is bad. That men are evil and men are destructive and men fucking are the root cause of everything bad on the fucking planet. Dude, years ago, I'm not going to say any names, but, you know, a friend of the family, let's just put it that way, a woman, ultra Hillary Clinton, radical, crazy, fucking insane asylum escapee, you know, was saying that women don't need men for anything, not even for procreation. If they could somehow create sperm, they would eliminate men. I mean, dude, that's fucking insane asylum. That's why I always say liberals need more psychiatrists and less politics, right? They're just dangerous fucking people. They're fucking crazy, right? And that's really what it is. But give me a second, Mr. Producer. Let's go to commercial real quick so we can pay the bills. Are you ready? Let's go.
Because of your overwhelming support, our 1488 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing, including my classic standard MyPillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
All right, fantastic. Just remember, use promo code IGH and save some cash, and we can help out our good friend Mike Lindell. So you were saying?
Listen, I was just echoing what you were saying before the break. You know, the extremes that this administration has taken.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Is dizzying. It's just it's insane.
Remember that video? Remember that video that broke
inserting
on
it within our government at all levels, like.
Yeah, but just the culture, man. It's crazy because look, I've always said, dude, I don't discriminate against homosexuals or anybody. I know you don't either. You know, and we kid it around. You know, when we were growing up, we're like, oh, that's great, dude, more chicks for us, right? And you know, it was just a thing, right? We didn't care, you know. But the overemphasis on this feminization of men, this whole trans push and everything, that leaked video of two staffers having, you know, anal sex on the Senate floor. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with these people, dude? I think they lost total connection with reality. And when you see a Kamala Harris being asked multiple times, what would you do different? She said, I can't come up with anything. You know, as far as she was concerned, they didn't go far enough. And that's a danger, you know? That's a danger.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt that answer to that question, which was really, yeah, I was listening to the View
Yeah.
host, whichever I forgot.
That's her
her name.
favorite show, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I was watching an interview that she was on,
Yeah.
where she talked about, oh my gosh, I felt so bad because thought I was throwing her a softball.
Right.
Because I figured she could hit that out of the park.
Right.
And I figured it'd be ready for me to ask that question, or for one of us to ask that question. And I asked it, and I could not believe it. And I went back and I said, are you actually sure that,
Right.
you don't, like
No.
absolutely convinced that she was going to hit
And
it
she
out
did
of
it
the park?
again. She did it again with CNN, right? And MSNBC as well. So it's mind-boggling.
And the ineptness, the insufficiency, the lack of preparation, the lack of substance, the lack of, it's just mind-boggling to think that, one, that she wouldn't be expecting that question, two, that she wouldn't have an answer for it, and three, that she genuinely would not have.
So I'm gonna ask you this, and just because look, it's about having fun, right? Her or Sarah Palin, which one was worse?
By far, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Yep.
I mean,
And everybody ripped and destroyed Sarah Palin like crazy.
yeah, but there's not even close. Was there any?
I don't think so either.
She
I think-
she
I think- I
had
think
some goofball answers. She
Yeah,
she maybe didn't answer a bunch of questions that she should have, could have. Still, but it wasn't the level of inability wasn't at this level. And by the way, Sarah Palin did not have as many jobs experiences as Kamala Harris had of significance, by the way, before she ended up being a candidate for president. And Shirley wasn't VP for 3 years.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
She was governor of a state.
Yeah, for a couple of years, right?
Right. So, but again, the inabilities weren't to that level.
And that's what's really shocking, right? Because Kamala Harris has been in public eye for for decades, right? Including a sitting vice president for 3.5 years. How is she not prepared? How does she have an inability to answer basic questions?
I think she was just, clearly she was hidden from the need to answer these questions in all these jobs. Clearly, which is in itself irresponsible and wrong because, listen, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Primary Colors.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton.
That was a great movie.
So Bubba, when he starts as governor of Arkansas,
Yep.
of course the movie it was accentuated significantly.
Yeah.
But the message was clear: is the Bill Clinton that we saw after being in the hot seat.
Yeah.
We know he had a few hot seats. Obviously,
Yeah.
he really got training by fire
Yeah.
because of his promise.
Extracurricular activities.
Right, and the impeachment processes
Yeah.
and all that. But my point is that the Bill Clinton that swore in, as compared to the Bill Clinton who 8 years later finishes his second term, is two different individuals.
100%.
Because
100%.
forget the second term. The
Hey, you got to
first
bring a
year-
cigar next time.
I will. The
know?
first year of the first term, he was already in a hot seat, gaining experience and figuring this out, which you do. I mean, not that you don't as a governor of a state, but it's a small state, small economy, and once you become president, it's a bigger deal. But
Yeah. So here's a Florida
there's
question
no
for
growth. There's no
so
growth.
You're a Florida insider. You have been for decades and decades and decades. Your father was very, very, very involved in politics as well. What's going to happen with Marco's seat? So we know Matt Gaetz is and Waltz or whatever, they're special elections, but Marco's seat gets filled by appointment by the governor. A lot of people are saying, well, DeSantis resigns, Jeanette appoints him as senator. I don't see that play happening. I don't see him doing that. Would he want to go into the Senate?
So I don't see. First of all, as governor of a
Or do they appoint Laura Trump?
as governor of the 15th largest economy in the world, which is what Florida is, I think you have a lot more visibility, play, and
Yeah.
genuine relevant experience than to being a senator.
Yeah.
Maybe you have less federal issues, but as governor of Florida, there's not a scarcity of opportunity to be in the
you're a badass.
federal limelight.
Yeah, you're a
Right?
badass.
So.
And he's been
a great governor.
arguably one of the best. One of the best.
Absolutely great governor.
You know, when he came in, we had a delta of 300,000 more, more Democrat registered voters. Right now, there's over 1 million more Republicans.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a job.
And quite active ones. We saw what they did in this last race. So I don't see why you would want to do that. So
who's next?
what you hear a lot about, kind of universally, is that you got to consider Laura Trump, who has proven to be a very, very substantial, qualified, prepared individual. Never held elected office before.
Yeah.
But if you watched her,
But definitely sharp.
you watched her do her job as vice chair of the National Party.
Yeah.
Incredibly eloquent, incredibly articulate.
Is that the best move for Trump? Wouldn't it be to keep her there or make her chair?
You'd
Because
think,
he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to replace people at the party and lose control of the party again.
yeah, I would think not. Will there be interest from others? Of course. I mean, there's got to be.
So if it's not Laura Trump and it's not DeSantis, Jeanette, that would be bold.
It could be, but I
Woman, Hispanic, senator. That would be the first time ever, right?
I've heard rumors that what Jeanette really wants to do is be president of FIU.
Is that right?
That's what I've heard. I haven't heard that from her, but I've heard.
Well, you
that.
got your ear on the ground. Yeah.
I've heard that out there. So by the way, that's it's far from being a plum job, but that's a sweetheart
Yeah.
career job.
That's a career move. Yeah.
Because it's not like a federal judge, judicial appointment,
Yeah.
but for somebody of her age, based on the.
She can ride that gig for a long time.
She can retire from that. From
No
that-
more campaigning, no more
Right.
dealing with all that
It's,
bullshit.
and
Right?
it's a serious, real job.
Yeah.
And
But
so-
she's been a very staunch Trump Republican in the past, and then after the primaries.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I
Because that would be a cool move. Replace a Hispanic with a Hispanic, not because Republicans play that, but it would be cool. And on top of that, they can't say that we're sexist because we just made the first Hispanic woman senator ever.
I mean, there's a lot of neat opportunities. At the end of the day, the important thing is that DeSantis and Trump, the governor and the president,
Yeah. Because it's
coordinate-
DeSantis' pick, though.
coordinate as much as possible within the political realities of it being his pick, not the president's.
Right.
So
And let me pause you right there because I'm going to bring up some numbers. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Because you just said, in coordination with the president, but it is his pick, right? So DeSantis won by, Mr. Producer, by like 20 points, right? In 2018?
DeSantis, right?
Yeah.
That would have been 19.4.
19.4.
Yeah.
So almost 20 points. And Trump won Florida by 11 points. Who owns Florida?
two different kind of races.
So explain that,
two
because a
very-
lot of people don't understand that.
One is a presidential race.
Well, the midterm doesn't have the same turnout, et cetera.
One is the governor's race in Florida. Happens to be a midterm governor race where the turnout is not the same. Irrelevant. Both are great accomplishments. And as I mentioned earlier, in the case of Trump, the winning Miami-Dade County, as an example of just a county, but a Democrat county,
Well, DeSantis won Dade County, too.
by 10 points.
Yeah.
Following DeSantis having done that is a huge, again, the last time that happened for a presidential candidate, it was George H.W. in 1988, which is a century ago.
Yeah.
Very different demographics in the county and very different political realities, but still a significant accomplishment. So, you know, and as far as owning, I'm not sure that anybody owns anything. They both have been very successful public servants. I think Trump's in his, you know, getting ready to have a very, you know, second successful, historic
He's gonna have a
term.
monster term.
And not being able to run for reelection in political reality gives you a lot of opportunity, because it gives you a lot of impatience and it gives you a lot of freedom, especially the way he won, given the popular and the electoral vote. So I think it's a great landscape, a great opportunity, and you know, this vacancy of Senator Rubio is a huge political opportunity for the governor to do what's right by the state. And I have no doubt that the right thing will be done. There'll be a lot of jockeying, but I believe that Laura Trump really, again, even though she's never held elected office, will be a great senator just because of, you know, her abilities. Will there be others that are interested? I'm sure they're going to surface.
What names are you hearing?
I really haven't heard any.
Really?
I really haven't.
So they're keeping it really close to the vest.
My guess.
Because I mean, you're Mr. Florida.
I would think that what just really happened. So, but this has been brewing for a while. The rumor of Senator
Everybody
Rubio
knows,
being
yeah.
Secretary
for
of State
a year. Yeah.
has been out there, and it certainly got sealed when it was clear that he wasn't going to be the VP nominee, right? So,
Yeah.
I guess from that point forward, it's just opened up. So, yeah, listen. Governor DeSantis would never be governor but for President Trump's
Thank you for saying that. I
endorsement.
think that's important to say that.
And I think that's.
Because let's talk about that race. Remember, I mean,
I
we were supporting somebody else.
I
Remember,
was on the Adam Putnam team,
Yeah.
like 99.9%
we were raising money for Putnam,
of Republicans,
Yep.
and
and he was trouncing.
similar
everybody.
to the sideswipe we got from Rick Scott when we were all with Bill McCollum.
Yeah, remember that?
That was
Oh
a
my
$60 million
God.
sideswipe. You go, ooh,
Holy
whoa, who's that?
shit. I remember that race so clearly,
brilliantly
man.
handled, brilliantly executed.
Yeah.
Much like that happened, and the rest is history. And Senator Scott has proven to be a phenomenal governor and a phenomenal senator.
A great senator, man.
I mean, it's just he deserves all the credit in the world for that reality. Much like that, you know, that approach to getting into this process took place. DeSantis
So
was.
tell us a story, because you know I was back in D.C., right? But you know, we were supporting Putnam, right?
Right.
You were very involved in that race.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were up 10, 12 points, 14 points, more.
Yeah, but the campaign really.
I mean,
Really?
and you guys had raised a fuck ton of money too.
I don't remember exactly how much, but the campaign really. It really felt like it had not taken off, even though everybody was behind Adam. I don't know how to explain that, but it was just. It was
Inertia.
just-
It was inertia.
just there, right?
Yeah.
And all it took was one tweet, which is I'm pretty sure the way that
Yeah.
President Trump did that, and the rest is history.
And it just fucking
then
flipped.
Overnight, it flipped.
In a week, he was up by like 10 points.
Yeah, exactly. And then the rest
was fucking crazy.
And it was over. So I hope that Governor DeSantis doesn't ever forget that. Despite him having run against him and all, it's politics.
That's politics,
right?
yeah.
Because if he doesn't lose sight of that, I'm sure he doesn't, and he's appreciative of that, then the rest of these things can be worked out to everybody's benefit. It's not hard to assume that he wants to be president, even though the first effort wasn't successful. It wouldn't be the first candidate that didn't win on the first one, right?
Yeah.
In the first primary try. Now, the big question there is what does Vice President Vance want to do? He's a 40-year-old guy. You got to assume he's going to run for president. Why wouldn't he?
You have to. I mean, you know, he's
So
in a,
early.
He's in a run, or unless JD Vance picks him to be his VP or something. But there's a lot of people out there, man. Look at Vivek.
So for the political junkie, for the political junkie, there's a lot of analysis and potential deal making
Yeah.
that people think goes on years ahead of time. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. But in the
Well, the Romney campaign did. That was
which one of the
I mean, everybody was backing Mitt from
Okay.
day one.
Right.
And he raised all kinds of cash. I mean, you were supporting Mitt back then. I was with Newt. You guys were crushing us on the money. We had no money. I mean, the only money we had was Adelson, right? Sheldon. He was funding the campaign through the super PAC. And then every time Newt went up on the debate stage and he crushed it, we'd get some money. But the campaign had no money. And then, the carpet bombing that happened in Florida, we got outspent like 36-1. And that was it. It was goodbye, So some deals were cut. I mean, everybody agreed on that
I'm
one.
not saying deals aren't cut. I'm just saying that is it fair to assume you're going to have a deal cut now related to who's going to run for president 4 years from now?
No, I don't
I think
think
it's a
so.
little too early, but who
It's too
knows?
early.
But everybody should assume that Governor DeSantis wants to run for president, and he should.
So what everybody's saying, or everybody's thinking is, there's got to be life after Florida for him, 100%, right? I would have to agree. And if he's not picked for VP, or if he doesn't win a primary against JD Vance, if he decides to challenge him, he would certainly go in for a cabinet role, right? Now here's another one. I mean, there's some cabinet positions that haven't been filled yet. Do you think DeSantis could be one of them? No
If
way.
I were a betting man, I'd say
No way.
there's no shot.
Yeah.
Unless it happens as a part of all this other stuff going on, like
Yeah.
you're
Marco
considering
and this
with
and
Laura Trump for
Yeah.
your appointment, and then otherwise, I don't see why President Trump would. First of all, he's almost overdone it with Florida already. Not that there's anything wrong with having too many from your state. I mean, as long as they're qualified, who
Great fucking
cares?
state, yeah.
But you got to spread the wealth across the country.
Yeah.
You do have, a great, farm system, if you will, of people that are either sitting in office or Governor Huckabee, a great pick for Israel, right?
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal nomination for ambassador to Israel for all the obvious reasons. Eminently qualified, just a great guy, and so I don't see. My gut tells me that no, I don't think DeSantis has a role in the cabinet unless. Also,
there's a
I
deal
think
there, yeah.
If you analyze the way President Trump, I think, processes these things, picking who's running next is in the mind of someone like President Trump, part of his,
Yeah.
because it's his boy, if you will.
Yeah.
That's going to be the nominee. So I don't think he does anything that you could mildly use if you were DeSantis to take advantage of, So I don't think he has a shot at being a cabinet member in this administration, if I were to guess.
But he's got a political future.
But he's got a future for sure. And more importantly, he's going to fight for a future.
I think so too.
I think that Vance's appointment makes it a challenge for DeSantis because
Yeah.
Vance has proven to be eminently qualified and able.
That's been the biggest surprise, I think, for a lot of people that didn't know
Able and
JD Vance.
capable,
Yeah.
and under the pressure, under the gun, under I think that in retrospect, if they go back to saying, what are the key moments of this campaign where things, maybe were turned around to help it become the landslide that it was, I think they're going to talk about the debate where Senator Vance just performed steadily.
Right.
Not that he couldn't, not that people thought he wouldn't be, but nobody had ever seen him do it.
Yeah.
So you got to do it, otherwise,
Crushed.
right?
Crushed.
I mean, Mr.
Mr. Coach. Yeah, Tampon Tim.
Tampon Tim, who wasn't obviously the best,
Yeah.
so he helped him. But irrespective of how good or bad Tim was, Vance was an absolute star.
Yeah.
I mean, he did not take a single bait, and he did not hit out of the park every opportunity that was placed to him.
And he corrected when every time they tried to check him off or
And he
fact
dealt
check
with the
him.
media
and-
respectfully but effectively, where he said, "Hey, time out. You're not being fair."
Yeah.
I mean, he did that, without a mean streak. He did it in a very, as a matter of fact, to the point where they were like themselves, like they didn't know how to react to him.
Yeah.
Because they go, "Whoa."
That was pretty crazy, right?
So I think a guy at age 40 showed, I mean, just imagine 4 years from today, and the experiences of being a vice president
I know.
in this administration. And by the way,
Especially in this one, right?
right, because I think what he showed to do and have incredible ability to do is he showed to be very comfortable in defending Donald Trump. After, obviously, at some point in his career, he wasn't a supporter,
Right.
like most of,
early on.
or a lot of Trump supporters today. He unified everybody, but everybody wasn't with him when he started.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really a story to write about is, how did Trump get all these people? Oh, he's a bully. Oh, okay. He might be strong-minded, strong-willed, but you mean to tell me he doesn't have ability and charisma and convincing power? No, because he just, bullies everybody. Go, really? So these grown men and women
Yeah.
only respond to being bullied to, I don't think so. I think the man showed an amazing ability, which is actually, in my personal opinion, really highlighted and accentuated when he gets shot. And the guy's brain works to the point where he says, okay, I'm alive, so the first thing I got to do is show everybody I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell my people we got to keep fighting. These bastards didn't get us. And he did the fight.
Yeah. Dude, I think that just changed.
I've been around this stuff 40 years, and I really got teary-eyed, and I got goosebumps watching it. I happened to be watching it
If
live.
you watch it live, man, I was like,
I was
holy
watching-
fuck.
Those whatever seconds was when he was down,
Yeah. I was like, fuck, did they just
Right.
kill the fucking president?
right? You had no idea what the hell was going on because he was
Yeah.
down. I mean, it's probably like 20, 30 seconds.
At least.
That's like a lifetime,
Yeah.
right? And he comes up and he starts waving his fist. I go, dude.
With blood streaking down his face, I was like, motherfucker!
But the point really to really analyze to his credit is that what 74-year-old man, after going through
78.
I'm sorry, 78, thinks about that. So the brain is like,
Dude, he's
a different
amazing.
brain.
Yeah.
And yeah, some would say he's a showman. Oh, yeah, by the way, he is a showman. But you know what? If you think for a second, today's world, a media world, you don't think of being a showman matters? Well,
Yeah, but do you think he thought about that? No, dude, that was pure instinct,
that's
pure
what comes
heart.
out of his
Yep.
what comes out of his heart. So his instincts when it comes to that stuff, I think, is what really makes him a great leader. I mean, I think that he a lot of these things are not learned. You either are who you are or you're not who you're not.
right.
That's it. And he's got what it takes. He's got a big pair of fucking nuts because that kind of decisiveness in moments of that kind of difficulty, everybody reacts the same way.
Yeah. No, big time, I agree. Hey, let's go to commercial real quick, and we'll be right back.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
All right, we're back, and don't forget promo code IGH, kind of like the shirt. Promo code IGH. And by the way, we have a bunch of those pillows. The mattress topper is actually fucking amazing, dude. If you don't have one, you need to get one. It's like lying down on like clouds. It's like sleeping on
I
clouds.
don't-
It's
I'm-
amazing.
I'm
It's
gonna-
crazy.
I'm gonna tell my wife.
And I want to talk about another sponsor of the show. You guys have to watch this movie, Enemy Within docuseries.com. Enemy Within docuseries.com. Use promo code IGH and you'll get a discount as well. And that is a story of Patrick Byrne. He's the founder and CEO, former founder and CEO of Overstock.com. And he tells a story how the intelligence community brought him in to do certain things and how he got caught up in this whole fiasco with Hillary Clinton, bribing Clinton with, I think it was $18 million, et cetera, and how all that ended up being crucial to the whole Russian hoax and everything we saw about that. So the enemy within docuseries.com and use promo code IGH. So, Mr. Florida, what happened in Florida? I mean, that was a fucking smashing, right? Except for Broward. What do we do with Broward? Do we just fucking throw them in the ocean or what? I mean, we have crazies over there. I mean, you know, your friend Debbie, right? She's a nutcase. She'll never get wiped out, right?
So what do you do at Broward?
Yeah.
First of all, I'd say remain optimistic because Dade County was never Broward in as far as the concentration of Democrats,
So tell us a story.
but it was always, Dade has always been a Democrat county, okay? It's kind of fluctuated depending on, you know.
So tell us a story about Dade. So you were born here, your parents came here.
Right.
You know, talk to us about that era growing up and things that happened and
mean
and how you saw the shift go back and forth, right? Because Dade was Republican and then it went blue and then now it's red again and you've really lived through that.
Growing up in Miami.
Yeah.
So we went from Miami
Yeah.
to Miami.
That's right.
And,
That's
and
right.
today we are probably somewhere between Miami and Miami.
Yeah.
But you still have a few friends that call it Miami. I love that pronunciation, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's first of all, the best story to remind our friends about regarding what you're asking me is that Cuban Americans really, at the end of the day,
Built the city. Yeah, built the city.
Cubans were the original group of migrant immigrants to move to Miami based on the obvious proximity from Cuba.
Yeah.
It was not uncommon before Castro for Cubans to take the there's a term they used to use for that boat that would go back and
ferry or
forth. The
something.
ferry, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a mental lapse on the ferry. The ferry back and forth. Ferry would carry cars. So folks would bring their cars from Cuba, drive around Miami, and go back. It was a very common thing. And you know, my dad, God bless his soul, always dreaming about one day, you know, going back and doing the opposite. You know, bringing my car from Miami and driving around Havana, right? That never happened. He died beforehand, but maybe someday. Why not? You know, I mean, now we got to have a Secretary of State from Cuba, or Cuban ancestry,
Yeah.
Cuban heritage. But so the ties between Miami and Cuba are generational ties. Have been there. And proximity is not the only reason, but that was obviously the larger reason why it was an easy transition. Cubans have always been considered, and this story doesn't really get written enough, but from an ideological perspective, Cubans in Cuba have always been conservative fiscally, conservative when it comes to foreign policy, socially pretty balanced. Cuba had the most advanced labor laws in the hemisphere. Okay?
Wow.
My dad would always remind me that the maternity benefits for women in Cuba was as advanced as the U.S.'s, and that he always talked to me about how, you know, these social issues in Cuba for a small Caribbean nation
Yeah.
was very advanced. Why do I say that? I say that only because something politically happened that made these, you know, new immigrants become diehard Republicans.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that was, you know, not so ironic, the Kennedy
Well, your dad was in Bay of Pigs.
My dad was a veteran of the Bay of Pigs, but Cubans, whether they fought in the Bay of Pigs or not, really felt betrayed by Kennedy because he promised the air support, never came.
And he fucking left them.
And that he left them hanging, and that's where the freedom fighters, if you will, lost the war against Castro because on the ground they slaughtered them, and yeah, because they planned on having air support, provided by the American Air Force, and never came. So politically, they grew up being anti-democrat for that reason. Why do I say that? I say that only because the influx of Cubans created the transition of Miami-Dade County becoming a more Republican town and a less Democrat town, but never becoming 100% Republican in as far as registration, but becoming
So explain that. Explain that.
in the way they voted.
So explain that. So they were registered Democrats but voted Republican.
Correct. No. I believe, I don't have the numbers to be able to prove this to you, but I believe the first wave of Cubans who became citizens registered Republican. So they registered anti-Democrat, registered Republican. But the numbers were never large enough to make a difference to make the county a Republican county. As that community grew and more Latin Americans came in, which is just the reality of Florida, Miami, South Florida, is we've been the beneficiaries of all the instability of Latin America. We're the ones who've always gained, right?
I know.
Whether it's the capital of flight or the capital of the the country's intelligentsia, the business leadership, they've always Miami's been the beneficiary. And, in recent years, you might say you have more Venezuelans, and you have more at some point.
Colombia.
Yeah, I mean, Colombians actually are a big chunk of the third largest Latin American community here. Despite the leadership issues of the region, some countries don't migrate as easy as others do, but there's no doubt that we are the ones who benefit from the instability of some of these nations, or whenever they have, whenever that pendulum swings. So, the reason why I started with the ideological history is because I think it's fair to.
And by the way, if you guys don't know Jorge's background, I mean, he Latin America is his baby. He understands it. He was you were alternate executive director for the American Development Bank under Bush 43.
Correct.
You also headed. You were chairman and CEO, right?
Florida
FTAA. And that was an amazing public-private
partnership.
Yeah, that was a great, and you did a hell of a job. I mean, I remember you were living out of a suitcase and on a plane, right, for a number of years with that effort, and then really spearheading, once that kind of disassembled, a lot of the bilateral FTAs, right, including Peru, which we worked on pretty closely.
Absolutely.
CAFTA,
Peru, Colombia.
Yep. Yeah, CAFTA DR. Remember that blitz? I mean, that was crazy.
That free trade agreement got, as you know, passed in Congress by a great margin of one vote.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Isn't that crazy? And that was a huge blitz. I mean, you guys were flying around with presidents and cabinet members, and I mean, that was a hell of an effort, man. That was a hell of an effort. So that's why, few people are as qualified to talk about Latin America and all that. So please continue with the Dade County stuff and all that.
All I was going to suggest is that the county has remained a Democrat county, but never to the magnitude of Broward County. Broward County, which was a Republican county at one point.
Was it?
Oh, yes, a long time ago. I don't know exactly how many years ago, but I got to tell you,
so I moved down from
60 years ago.
I was going to say, because I moved down from D.C. to Miami originally in '94, and Dade and Broward were Democrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the modern political era, for lack of a better phrase, they've both been Democrat. The difference between Dade and Broward is that Broward's become significantly, stronger Democrat, and Dade has continued to grow, but the Democrat registrations have not grown
Yeah.
at the same levels.
Same clip.
And popular governors, presidents, Reagan, Bush years, and Trump, DeSantis, because there's a million new registrants.
No, there's a million more
Right,
Republicans and Democrats.
right. Well,
That's crazy.
in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida, yep.
So, but don't forget, the reason why the 10% lead, the 10-point lead for Trump to beat Harris in Miami is so significant is because the density of voters in South Florida is significantly higher than it is in the rest of the state. So whatever happens in Dade County, especially a 10-point victory, impacts the outcome of a statewide election like exponentially.
And everybody thought, the I-4 corridor, which
has
is
always
always
been
a thing.
Republican.
Yeah, was going to be in play. Dude, that's not even close.
Dade County made the difference. And the other thing that makes the difference always is that the Panhandle, the northern end of the state,
Yep.
is Democrat, will always be Democrat, presumably, because they have been for 2-3 generations, but they vote Republican in statewide, and especially in national races. That's an important, not so insignificant note, because, and that's the reason why Democrats figure out pretty early, usually every cycle, whether they're really going to spend any money here or not, is because they know that the I-4 corridor is Republican, the Panhandle is, and that they're still probably trying to sober up from the reality of this 10-point spread that Trump had on Kamala Harris, because they weren't counting on that, I guarantee you.
11 point something.
They were not counting on that. Because they were arrogant enough to
Well,
think.
what did Rick Scott beat Debbie with? What was the margin? Do you remember? Mr. Producer,
I don't remember that.
what was
but
the Rick Scott margin on a Senate race?
It might end up being about the same.
Maybe about the
10.
same as Trump,
Probably
right?
around 10.
I don't know why I thought it was less, but I thought that was interesting.
She ran an aggressive race against him.
She did.
This election, right?
Yeah, this cycle.
Yeah, this cycle, yeah.
55.6 to 42.8.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he got 55% of the vote.
I can't hear that far, so.
Statewide,
Yeah, statewide.
he got, what again? I'm sorry, you broke up.
55.6.
He got 55, and what did she get?
42.8.
So over 10 points, so he exceeded Trump's victory. That's good.
That's good for him. I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was that,
So yeah, he actually exceeded it. Well, pretty close. you know?
she ran an aggressive, really personal, offensive campaign.
Well, 42 to 55. Shit, dude, that's 13 points. Trump won by 11.4. So he actually did about 2 points better.
That's good for Scott.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's a different style and a different personality, and for him to have beat, that tells you that the rechazo, the pushback
Yeah.
on Debbie was,
Yeah, but she was a horrible candidate.
yeah, her ads made her come out like,
She was antipática, right?
so if you know her,
How do you say that? How do you say that in English? Jesus.
Antibiotica is probably like saying,
I can't remember how to say
I don't
that.
know if that's a literal translation, but I'd say maybe it's like saying
She just rubs you the wrong way.
obnoxious.
Obnoxious. There you go.
Probably
She's obnoxious. Yeah.
I mean, she came out like, she kind of is, like in your face,
Yeah.
kind of like your friend Debbie,
Oh my God. So.
snapping at you.
Oh my God! So she was on Morning Joke this morning, and she was bashing on Matt Gaetz, and she said, he's a sex trafficker and sex trafficking of underage women. Dude, I mean, these people are horrible people. They will say, do, be anything, and they don't care about any repercussion whatsoever.
You figure that after the shellacking they got, they would have been more selective in their commentary. But I guess you don't learn that when you get shellacked.
They're in a bubble, right?
When you get shellacked, you get a little bit more defensive, I guess.
Well, you know, what the crazy are saying is that they didn't go far enough. That Harris should have gone farther and harder with the left issues and DI and all that crap and the, you know, identity politics and gender politics. And they should have played that a lot more and a lot harder, and people would have shown up and people would have been motivated. And I don't know how much more motivated. I mean, look, you know, Democrats have been getting around 69 million votes. She ended up getting, I think it's 72, right? So she did better. Because I don't believe the 81 million that Biden got in his closet. I mean, that's a total bullshit number. I think everybody in the world now realizes that fucking 2020 was a scam. A complete fucking scam. This guy hiding in his basement didn't know where the fuck he was and who he was, and couldn't get 10 reporters in a room with social distancing. Remember those fucking circles? You could only get 7. Oh my God, what an embarrassment. You know, and he got 81 million votes. That was total fucking crap. You know, but anyways, man.
That story hasn't been written. I hope somebody picks up and writes it.
You think so? You think they'll pick it up, or they'll just fucking brush it under the rug and say fuck it?
How else do you argue that, where are those voters? They really would not turn out for her, but turn out for him?
Right.
Really? And the anti-Trumpness is greater now than then? And they wouldn't come out for her?
That's what doesn't make sense.
It's like, but somebody has to write that or do that analysis, like state by state.
Like do an actual audit.
Right. That would be valuable, because maybe that's why it doesn't happen, because it'll
It probably
expose.
costs too much money too.
It'll expose what really happened. But listen, at the end of the day, the fact that Donald Trump won every single swing state.
Yeah.
Every single one. Yeah. And then he started picking up. If the election would have been 2 weeks later, he would have, how many votes did she get? 71?
71, right?
I think she would have lost 5 million votes, because he started picking off whatever he wanted. Oh, let's go to Madison
She
Square
was in a
Garden.
free fall. That last week, she was in a complete free fall. You're right. 2 more weeks, she would have been done.
I mean, because they clearly, if you look at, Politics 101 in running presidential campaigns tells you that you show up, especially those last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, where you need most of the support from. And they started to show up in cities that are clearly Democrat cities. I mean, the Madison Square Garden event is the highlight of all highlights.
Man.
It's exhibit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Okay? Because normally you would not be on that day, which was less than a week away. I think it was less than a week away, in New York City, in Manhattan. You just wouldn't be there, because you're trying to make sure you don't lose those, the opportunity of winning those swing states. But the internal polling on both sides must have been what it was, that they knew that they had it, and they had to start saying, okay, well, let's go here, and let's go there, let's go places where, unconventional places, and that's when they started, the Harris campaign started.
the fucking rally in Coachella.
Right.
I mean, that's where all the hippies hang out, dude. And you went in there and packed the fucking place.
Perfect example. And by the way, that's where you realize that the youth vote,
Yeah.
that's the other analysis that needs to be done. It'd be great to see that breakdown of youth vote, because
Well, I'll give you an interesting number, and I brought this up, after the election, but, is when you look at the national numbers, you have your results. But if you go into blue states, how much moved? So, like, in California, 11% moved Republican. You look at New York, you look at states like that, you're like, holy shit, dude. I mean, yeah, the gap is so huge that it's not gonna flip it. But 11%, 13% in some other states, I mean, that's a big movement. That's a big shift in solid blue states. What happens to the Trump movement after this 4 years? Because, he can't be reelected. He's going to be too old to really stay relevant in politics afterwards, right? He'll be, 82, I guess, right?
I think he's been.
Is the better question? Is this the new brand of the Republican Party, or do we go back to, you know, the Reagans, the Bushes.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to predict that, but let me tell you what I think you have got to take into consideration no matter what. And
So you're how old? I just wanted to use this for reference.
I'm 59,
You're 59. You started in politics when you were how old?
18,
Okay. All right. So we started about the same time. Reagan 84, right?
84,
Yeah. I was 14, right? So we've been in politics for a long fucking time, right? So you think the establishment is going to go away? I don't think so.
So I think that the depth and width of the Trump movement is
Yeah.
so significant
Yeah.
that when he's on to a better life,
Is it like the Reagan Revolution?
it's gonna be like we'll be going to rallies with Trump holograms.
Like the Reagan Revolution, remember?
Yeah, but you
Or
can't,
more.
with all due respect to the Reagan Revolution.
Well, a lot of people came out of that, right? Kemp, we had Newt, a whole bunch of people came out of that.
It's different, but that the only thing that's analogous is the Reagan Revolution. But
Yeah.
but I'm saying it's different in the sense that
It wasn't that powerful, right?
I mean
And you were in it. You're in that transition team too, right?
and maybe it's because of his style and his marketing savvy, but just the merchandising that exists in the Trump movement has never been seen before in politics, ever.
Every time we're in the car, it's like, hey, the Trump watch or the Trump shoes. David's like, change the channel, goes crazy. So
That may be a sign of the times and nothing to do with popularity. Maybe it's because merchandising in politics today is big, but it's never been to the level where he's brought it. But I think it goes beyond merchandising. It's just the average attendance to a Trump event is crazy record numbers. Our most popular politician, which was Reagan, that wasn't even close to that.
right.
It was very different. This is a fever. This is
And the other side has got, DTS is real. Trump derangement syndrome is absolutely
It's
real.
totally real. And the media's support of the other side has only helped the movement, right?
So what happens to the party?
So, we will know soon enough because I think the big question to ask is J.D. Vance the one to grab the mantle and personalize it to his own style?
But you have a lot of J.D. Vances. I mean, you have Vivek. I mean, there's this new crop that's firebrand like that.
But all of those have become participants in the Trump movement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They've all become.
They're not establishment.
So are they going to come off of that because Trump is gone? On the contrary.
They're
I
gonna
think
try and grab it.
what you're going to start having is whatever aspect of the Trump movement made them uncomfortable, you'll see less of
Yeah.
and more of their own style, right?
You don't see a Governor Abbott, Governor Youngkin.
I don't see why not. I mean, honestly.
I mean, they're not. I mean, they supported Trump, but they're not Trumpers. They have their own style. They're different. They're more establishment, if you want to call it that. Is there a comeback for that wing of the party?
It's hard to predict what's going to happen, but because I happen to be one of those that doesn't believe that you need to scream and bang the podium
Yeah.
and offend and divide and do all these other things that people think is all Trump does, which I don't think is fair either, because that's not all he does.
Yeah.
To be a good charismatic leader. So I think it's the best way to analyze it, I think, is whoever comes behind, whatever number of leaders come behind to be the new generation, are going to try to figure out a way to benefit from that movement, which is they have to continue to stay
Because it's
identified
not
with
going to
it.
go away. It's not going away. It's not like the Tea Party. Remember the Tea Party?
It's
You remember the Tea Party?
Yeah, of course,
We
it's
fucking
slowly
went through it. I
gone.
mean, you know, all of our friends got elected there, right? Marco, David, you know, Mario moved to Lincoln seat. Remember all that stuff?
And that's gone.
And it got smashed 2 years later. The establishment
I don't
squashed
think
it
that's,
and
I don't
freaking
think
destroyed
this,
it.
I don't think this will,
They tried to do that to Trump with all the stuff that they pulled in his first term, and it didn't go away. It made him stronger and stronger and stronger. And look at this machine.
so that's the question is, I don't think it's Tea Party-esque. It's totally the contrary. The pushback has only made him, you know, bigger and stronger. And him going on to a better life will not kill the movement. And given his style, until he's on the other side,
He'll want to stay relevant.
he will be totally relevant.
He'll be the kingmaker.
He'll be visible and active, whether it's, God forbid, in a wheelchair or you know, I don't know. This guy is so unique that you never know. I mean, he has to go on to a better life eventually, but I think it's here to stay for the foreseeable future because we've also had the benefit of getting new participants, new activists that were not active in politics before through this, you know, MAGA movement.
Yeah.
Whether is it going to be called MAGA, is it going to be called something else? I don't know, but it's become, you know, the whole make it America better and everything that follows behind it. So, best example I'll give you: my youngest son, who's a senior in Tallahassee, Florida State. They had a party. They had a frat party less than a week after the election. And the theme of the party was "Make America Party Again." And the invitation was the White House, you know, and it was the White House, the flag, and then Trump's picture was on it. I'll show it to you. And you know, these are seniors in college.
That's awesome.
By the way, they're all Trumpers.
Dude, all the kids now are fucking Trumpers, dude.
They're all Trumpers, yeah, that's the best. That's the.
Which is amazing, right? Because he's 78 years old. But he's fucking cool. He's fucking cool. And you see on social media the Trump dance challenge.
Yeah.
Everybody posting videos doing the Trump dance with YMCA. It's amazing how that took off. Something that started like, I don't know how, I don't think he intended it to be, but he just, you know.
That's the way he dances.
And holy shit, everybody loved it. Everyone was like, oh my God, this guy, look. And it just went nuts. It went freaking nuts, man.
So I think it's, yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere. And I think what happens is that depending on who that new leader is, they'll put their own stamp on it because that's normal, but it won't be too much different than
Yeah.
what's been so successful. But who knows? I mean, I think the success of these 4 years has a lot to do with it because the expectation that's been built politically is very significant.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Jorge, thanks for coming, man, dude.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Awesome. We got to make this a weekly thing. You got to bring the cigar, and I promise I'm gonna have some rock glasses with some ice,
That'd be great.
and we'll have a drink or something. We're gonna be announcing something soon, by the way, on how you can win either a bottle of Basil Hayden or a bottle of Zacapa. You get to choose, but you know it's gonna entail, you know, very specific. It's gonna entail following us on social media. We're on every platform. IGH Going Rogue. You got to follow, you got to tweet it out, and you got to copy 3 friends. And at the end, before Christmas, we're going to announce the winner. So go out there, follow, tweet us, or truth us, or Instagram us, or Facebook us. Copy 2 of your pals, and we're going to pick somebody before Christmas. And we'll either ship a bottle to you. You got to be whatever your drinking age is in your state, you know, or get or have it sent to your parents. You know, I don't know, whatever it is. I would assume everybody's of age here, and pick which one you want, and you'll have it for Christmas. You'll have a good time, and also don't forget mypillow.com promo code IGH, and you have to watch Enemy Within. docuseries.com. Also use promo code IGH. And we'll see you Monday. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. There's a lot of things happening. And stay tuned because there's going to be some big news coming next week that I think everybody's going to be very excited about. All right, take care, guys.
This rant.